Have you ever just stopped and wondered how life actually works? I mean, from the tiniest microbe to the biggest whale, there's a fundamental language being spoken, a code that builds everything. Well, today, we're going to decode that language. We're going to learn the alphabet of life itself.
So yeah, how does life write its own story? How can one tiny cell hold the entire instruction manual for building a complex organism? It seems like an impossibly huge question, but the answer, well, it starts with something incredibly small and, honestly, really elegant.
And here they are, amino acids. Now, don't get hung up on the chemistry-sounding name. Just think of them as letters, an alphabet. A super simple alphabet with only 20 letters that nature uses to write the story of you, me, a tree, a mushroom, literally every living thing.
We're calling it the alphabet of life, and for good reason. Because once you understand these basic letters, you can start to see how they form words, and then sentences, and suddenly you can read the incredible stories that they're telling all around us.
Just 20. That's the magic number. It's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. Every single protein in your body, doing millions of different jobs, is built from different combinations of just these 20 standard parts. It's the ultimate in biological minimalism.
So what makes one of these letters a letter? What do they all have in common that allows them to work together? Come on, let's pop the hood and take a look at how they're actually put together.
It all starts right here, in the middle with a single carbon atom. This is called the alpha carbon, and you can think of it as the central hub or the anchor point that everything else is going to get attached to.
So first, we connect an amino group. This part is what we call basic in chemistry, which means it has a slightly positive character. And that right there gives us the amino part of the name. Simple enough, right?
And on the other side, we add a carboxyl group, which is acidic. So you put them together, you've got an amino group and an acid group. And boom, the name amino acid suddenly makes perfect sense. It's this dual personality, part base, part acid, that makes them so incredibly versatile. Okay, now for the really cool part. The last piece that gets attached is called the R group, or the side chain. This is the game changer. This is the one part that's different for each of the 20 letters, and it's what gives each one its unique identity, its own personality. So to sum it up, it's pretty straightforward. Every single amino acid has the exact same backbone. That's what allows them to link up in a chain. But each one has a unique side chain, that R group, which determines what it can do. It's kind of like a set of keys. They all have the same handle, but the teeth on each one are different, letting them open different locks.
All right, so with 20 different letters, each with its own personality, it really helps to sort them into a few groups. And the best way to do that is based on the properties of those side chains, basically how they behave out in the real world of the cell.
One of the most important ways we sort them is based on how they feel about water. You can think of it like a social spectrum. You've got your hydrophobic ones, which are the water haters. They're the introverts. They'll fold up and hide on the inside of a protein to get away from water. Then you have the hydrophilic ones, the water lovers. They're the social butterflies, totally happy to be on the outside interacting with the watery environment all around them.
We can also group them based on where we get them. There are 9 essential amino acids. Essential here means it is essential that you get them from your food because your body just can't make them from scratch. The other 11 are called non-essential, which simply means our amazing cells can build them on their own when they need to.
And then you've got the specialists, letters with really particular jobs. Cysteine, for instance, is like a little molecular staple. It can form these super strong bonds that lock a protein's shape in place. Proline is a total rule breaker. Its weird structure forces a sharp, rigid kink into the protein chain. Others, like lysine and arginine, act like little positive magnets, which is perfect for grabbing onto negatively charged things, like our DNA.
So we've got the letters, we know their personalities, but how does life actually write with them? How do you get from a simple string of letters to a complex, three-dimensional machine that actually does something?
It's a pretty amazing 3-step process. First, your DNA spells out the exact order the letters need to be in. Then, almost like magic, that chain starts to fold up all by itself. Those water-hating introverts rush to the center, while the water-loving extroverts stay on the outside. The cellular tug-of-war forces the chain into one very specific, precise 3D shape. And that shape? Well, that shape is everything. This is one of the absolute central rules of all of biology. You could almost call it a mantra. Sequence dictates structure, structure dictates function. The order of the letters determines the final shape, and that shape is what gives the protein its job.
You change just one letter in the sequence, and you can change the entire function of the protein.
But, the story doesn't quite end with those 20 standard letters. Just like any good language has punctuation and special characters, the alphabet of life has a few extra tricks up its sleeve.
For instance, there are D amino acids. They're the literal mirror image of the standard ones we use. Think of your left and right hands. They're rare in us, but they're absolutely critical for things like bacterial cell walls, which is exactly why some of our best antibiotics target them. On top of that, our bodies can modify letters after they're in a protein to give them special powers, like making collagen extra strong. And today, we're even learning to make our own custom amino acid derivatives to use as medicines.
This chart really puts it all in perspective. I mean, look at that. The vast, overwhelming majority of life is written with the standard L form of these amino acids, but those tiny trace amounts of the other guys, they aren't mistakes. They play these super important, highly specialized roles. They're the rare characters that expand the whole language of biology.
So when you boil it all down, this is what you get: a simple, elegant set of 20 molecular letters. And just by arranging them in new sequences, life writes the code for everything, from the muscles that let us move to the medicines that keep us healthy. It is, quite literally, the language of life.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating thought. For billions of years, nature has used this alphabet to create an incredible world of biology. Now that we humans are finally learning how to read, write, and even edit in this language, what new worlds of medicine, technology, and materials are we going to build next?